Hello and welcome to the next episode of Third and Short podcast. Second episode this week. As Tom said, we're doing things a little bit different this week. We've going to do some questions. We've done all this stuff from last week's games and the games coming up at the weekend. What I thought might be interesting though, which I haven't really mentioned to Jamie or Tom, is what do we think the score prediction will be for Thursday night's game, which it'll have happened by the time we release this. So we record this on a Tuesday evening, and we're recording it obviously Tuesday now, but we're going to release this potentially Friday or Saturday. So Thursday night's game will have happened. So I've sort of sprung this on you almost by accident.
Who's even playing?
Is it Colts in it?
Is
it
the
Titans?
Titans Colts.
Titans.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to sort of see how we do in terms of a prediction each. I haven't thought about it myself. I just thought about them when I clicked on my phone and the fixtures came up. Then I thought, let's give that a go. That could be interesting if we're going to do this format from now on. And then we'll answer. We've got some questions in, some really interesting ones from some new people that haven't asked us questions before. So that'll be good. And then we've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. Trick plays, things that I really like. I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't come off as well. So first off, it's the Titans and the Colts on Thursday night, which would have been potentially last night or 2 days ago whenever we released this. What do we think is going to happen?
I've got
Titans win 31-16.
31-16.
I hope that's right.
I have a quick idea what you should do, but you've already told us your score now. I was going to say, put it as your name.
Yeah.
Put it as your name, and then we'll all put it as a name, and I'll screenshot it, and then you can't go back on your word then when it comes back, even though it's recorded anyway.
Well,
But, you know.
We'll do it anyway as we speak. So
yeah. I also think Titans will probably. Do you know what? The Titans are 6-2 and the Colts are 5-3.
Don't press enter yet, Tom, and then mind.
oh, we've done it. Not like me to go early.
I'll do mine. I think the Titans will win. They are very evenly matched though. So I'm going to go Titans, but a little bit closer. I'm going to go Titans by, I think, behind a scoring. I think the Colts have got Philip Rivers, haven't they? And I hate him. Titans. They've got Tannehill, who could be hit and miss. But they've got Derek.
You really don't like him, do you?
No. Got Derek Henry, though, haven't they? Titans by 7. So I'm going to go 35-28.
To be think, 35-28. Look what mine is.
Oh, jeez.
But to be fair, though, if Colts win that game, they're going top of the division.
Yeah.
Colts are 5-3, Titans are 6-2. I was going to say Colts, so you've all said it. So you know what? I'm going for the Colts. I'm going to swap that around.
Can't change your mind.
I'm swapping that around.
To be honest, I was thinking Colts as well because I think that they are pretty good. They're going to be there or thereabouts as well, I think.
I will screenshot.
Are we all going to point at them because you know the disaster I had a few minutes before we went to record?
So this is obviously going to be a little bit boring for the people listening, but
especially if they're listening. Especially for
the people.
For the Spotify thing, we should have some like music.
Lift music.
So
yeah, very much so. Lift music.
So we've basically gone for, if you want to point to them now, Tom, Titans 31-16, Matt, Titans 35-28, and Jamie 28-34. I haven't took it yet, Matt.
Oh.
And that is it. Cool. That is screenshot. That is saved.
I don't have my screen.
Who's going to be right? No one's going to know.
For me to point at the score, for me, it's down here. But when we were messing around with it earlier, and Jamie and Tom were like, "Why are you pointing at nothing?" I was like, "I'm not. I'm pointing at what I've written there." So I've actually got a point at completely nothing here, where the score should be anyway. That was much more difficult than it should have been.
I just realised as well, we've done that, It doesn't actually come up on the actual YouTube video.
You'll have to check our screenshots out. Waste of time.
For God's sake.
We'll edit that.
What a shit producer.
We've got the screenshot. That was just for screenshot purposes only.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God.
We did say this one is a little bit less formal.
This could be our last episode. We're going to take us off there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we've done our predictions, so that's nice.
Yeah, so we had some questions. I think we had one from last week that we missed. Apologies, I think it came in just after we recorded. That's from my friend Seb. He asked why do they wear all the armour? So he's very new to NFL. I don't think he follows NFL at all. He just listens. He's a very dedicated listener of our podcast, which we appreciate. Giving us some support when you're not really into American football. So that's good. We love that and thank you. So yeah, why do they wear armour? I think first and foremost, they take some big hits. They take some really big hits.
To save their life.
Basically, yeah. Jonathan Abram is a great example from the weekend where he just flies in head first. I think the tackle had already just been started as well on the particular one I'm thinking about. He just demolishes a guy. So yeah, it is obviously for protection, but it is needed. It is really. People say they're soft for wearing all the protection, but you see some of the hits that you just go on YouTube, have a look at NFL greatest hits. And
big hits, yeah.
Some of them are huge, really. Well,
so 100% needed. You just wouldn't have a team if they didn't have it. I mean, you'd have a team for the first game of the season.
Anyone who plays a Giants.
I don't think the 49ers. I really think the 49ers actually have probably not worn their armour this season. They might have injuries, but yeah, Jesus.
The main argument we have is obviously because we live in England.
I can't hear you, mate.
Your mic's gone again, Jamie.
Oh my days!
I'll tell you what, you just can't get the stuff.
No, even quieter.
To be honest, this is probably the best time for us to talk. You sound like you're locked in a box.
You're having a Mary. Hear me now. Can you hear me now?
You hear me now?
No. He's very, very quiet, mate.
Ali Crawford.
You're very quiet.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
I know I am. Said it. So what am I?
I'll get my dad.
Wow. You guys, is it working now? It's come up these yellows. It looks like I'm talking.
I can hear you better.
Yeah, I can hear you, but yeah.
Is it coming back?
We'll just.
Hello.
Yeah.
Basically, what I was saying, if you can hear me, the only main problem with living in England is obviously everyone compares it to rugby. It's like, well, rugby players don't wear armour and they get tackled all the time. But it's like, but you're not taking a massive hit mid-air to your head. It's like, literally, rugby players are allowed to spear them, aren't they? That's all they can basically do. They have to spear them. Whereas NFL are literally just running into them any direction.
With a helmet.
Their head. Yeah. And if you want to talk about, I mean, this is the one thing I always talk about with American football is, could you imagine catching a 50-yard ball thrown at you at God knows how much speed, in general anyway? Imagine trying to catch that, then add the helmet on with limited visibility.
It's so impressive. It really is impressive.
It's very under...
and you're catching it over your shoulder. You're not just catching it in front of you anyway.
Yeah, you're not just stood there
enough. You're running, you've got two big dudes chasing you down that are trying to hurt you, and you're trying to catch a ball coming out. It's really impressive when you start looking into it.
I think it's so, I know the word's not underrated, but it's so overlooked. That's the word. It's overlooked.
Yeah, it's underappreciated.
Yeah. The actual ability is to run with the ball and try and catch it with these helmets and the armour on, and then still to run into the end zone. When somebody runs 90 yards with the ball, with all of that and people chasing them down,
I know. I mean, Dan Jones tripped up. It was that heavy.
He wore too much armour. I do want to speak about. I forgot to mention it on the last episode. Cam Newton tripped twice against the Jets.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. It was bloody beautiful. I loved it. He was literally about to run through, tripped over. Then next play, tripped again. What
I did this morning was I put a bet on last night before the game. Sky Bet did a price boost on Cam Newton to rush for 2 or more touchdowns, and they boosted it from 5 to 1 to 8 to 1. So I thought, for a bit of excitement, I stuck a 20 note on it. And this morning, rather than check my Sky Bet or check the stats, I went and watched the 6-minute highlights to sort of see how it went on. So it was like a bit of an exciting gamble. I am an addict. Let's just put it at that. But yeah, and there was one where he'd got one TD, and then he slipped when it was a clear shot, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, there it is. It stung, and then it was right. It was pretty much close to the death, wasn't it? That he got their last touchdown with his second one, and then obviously the kick for the field goal afterwards, which got them the win. So yeah, I was buzzing. It was weird. I was celebrating a Patriot touchdown, but yeah, it was 160 notes better. So
I had a little cheeky 5 last weekend. I went on Tyreek Hill to score 2 and DK Metcalf to score 2 touchdowns. Thought it was a given that I knew the Seahawks game would be a shoot. I knew this. Yeah, I knew that. I knew the Seahawks game would be a shootout with the Bills. I expected it to be fairly high scoring. I didn't expect the Seahawks to just stay in the dressing room for the game. And it finished with Tyreek got his 2 touchdowns, which is great, and DK got 1. 40 to 1 as well.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I'm still on the season, so.
I didn't put any on. If I did, I'm so glad I didn't. Otherwise, I would have just thrown my money away because, I would have thrown so much money on Brown.
Rojo first.
And Rojo first.
Maybe that could be a section we add in, Tommy's tip.
Yeah, to be fair.
we're going to add Tommy's tip into the clip next
just been talking about helmets as well. Yeah, to be fair, I had a tenner on Brown over 100 yards and a touchdown, but obviously, I think he was 50-odd yards, but no TD. Because the books are shit. But to be fair, I seem to do better with NFL than I do.
Except that Man United game, 66 to 1, cut Kane and Son, given back. Ooh, 66 to 1.
But yeah, so I think I had the win on the first game when I bet on the Steelers to beat us by, I think was it 10 to 13 points, with Slayton to touchdown any time. And then we had that night where you were all giving me next touchdown goal scorers and stuff like that. I won a few on there, and then I just had that one drop in. So yeah, let's do a bit of we should all do a bet for the weekend.
Yeah, I want to go now.
Matt, you do quite well when you pick some.
I'm a bit anal with how much I look into things sometimes. Josh, a friend of ours, Josh, whatever you want to call him, he tends to text me a bit out of the group, and I give him every now and then a breakdown of what I think might happen. So what I tend to go for is I look at running backs and see go for the big names who they're up against. And you look for your Derrick Henrys, your Josh Jacobs, your McCaffreys, Jacobs obviously, and I look at the teams that they're playing against. And you can normally find a top level running back that is against a poor team. Alternatively, I go for wide receivers as going for 2, and I'll look at teams that are probably going to end up with high scoring games. That's why I went on the DK Metcalf for the Seahawks and I went with the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill this week. But yeah, I mean, I've not really prepped, so.
Last season, I always went for Rojo first touchdown, and beginning of the season I did, and he started doing well for me. And then, like I said, I just haven't put it on recently. I haven't put any money on, but I'm a lot better giving tips out during the game. Like before the game, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. But then it's like the way the game's going, I'm like, he's gonna get a touchdown. It's like when obviously, like you're saying, you're giving the tips out. It's like Mike Evans is getting a touchdown in this play. Yeah, literally, it's like Gronk is going for it. Yeah, Gronkzilla.
Last season I did Darius Slayton 2 touchdowns or more every game. And it came in, because obviously it was his rookie year, so it was minimum 20 to 1 each game. And it came in 4 times last season. And then first game this season, I was like, well, I'm going to go with that. And then there'd been so much talk about Evan Engram being a tight end, and now Jason Garrett bums tight ends and absolutely loves the position, that I did, rather than do 20 quid on a bet, I did a tenner on the Slayton touchdown and Pittsburgh win by whatever points it was, and I did a tenner on Engram to 2 or more touchdowns. who got 2 or more touchdowns? Darius Slayton. What a surprise! But he hasn't done it since. And he's been limited, to be fair. He's probably I'd say he's our number one receiver. You could argue Sterling Shepard is, but I think Sterling Shepard's a playmaker, whereas I think Slayton's getting more yards. But I'm going to go with, there's a guy who needs a bit of redemption this week because he was dropped from the squad last week after his antics about kicking off about not being received, and then his wife not doing him any favours at all by putting it all over Instagram. But Golden Tate needs a big game, so I'm going to go with get your money on an anytime scorecast. Golden Tate, touchdown anytime. Giants to win by 1-6.
My one, Brady first touchdown.
Rushing touchdown. Woof. Woof.
He's got 2 already this season. He'll need to prove it, and he'll get it. We'll be down there.
You're relying on
I'm getting down there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're relying on him being a yard from the goal line for him to rush. That's the only problem with that, aren't you?
That's what I mean. That's why I'm usually good when the game's going. I like, this is how it's going to go, and we're going to be down there.
Yeah.
But usually we'll give it to Rojo, but I reckon he's going to rush him. If it doesn't happen on the first one, he's definitely going to do it. I mean, you could probably get Brady anytime at really good odds anyway. But if you want first touchdown, it's like 30s, I believe. But anytime it's going to be like 15s, 10s. So Tom Brady anytime touchdown.
Funny that you've both gone on your team as well.
I thought that's what you wanted.
I know, just your tip for this week. I try and avoid
Sky bet treble boost.
I try and avoid betting on Raiders because it annoys me when it doesn't come in. Last week, I think I went on 3 running backs to go over 100 yards. I went on Edwards-Helaire, who finished on 21 against the Jets. Well played, rookie of the year, my arse. And went on Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs to go over 100 as well. And they both did because they're really good elite running backs. Cheers. And so just looking at this week's fixtures, one fixture that I think sticks in my mind for 2 possible options, and it's Packers versus Jags. I'll be looking at Rodgers to go at least 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. And I'll be looking at Devontae Adams to probably get 2 of them. I just think it's going to be an option there. I'd be looking to couple either of those with probably something like Kyler Murray's up against the Bills, so he's going to have his work cut out a little bit.
He's going to have to rush.
Yeah, so I'll be looking at Murray going over something like 70 yards. He's going to have to. I think he's capable of putting the team on his back. So they're the 3 things I'll probably be looking at this week. Any sort of combination of Rodgers to go probably 4 touchdowns, Devontae Adams to get 2 for the Packers, and then Kyler Murray rushing over 70, 70 or 80, something like that, whatever the options give you. Well, that's what I'd be looking at.
I like it. Tip for the week.
Tune in next week when none of these have come in.
I'll go back to random one as well, because I'm pretty sure the odds are going to be great. I'm going to have a quick look to see what the odds are now.
Your mic's gone again, Jamie.
I can't hear you.
Oh, it's fine. A minute. What about now?
No.
Jesus.
So if you are a producer, again, get in touch. We've got a vacancy. The stipulations are your microphone has to work, and you can't be a Bucks fan. We'll have one of those. And you also
all the gear, no idea.
You also can't be a Patriots fan or a Chiefs fan.
All the gear, no idea.
You're still very.
Oh, there you are.
Now.
That's loud.
Say it again.
Is that okay?
Yeah, there we
that's
go.
My main microphone. So it's finally working.
Oh,
he stopped again.
If we do a bloopers show, I can't hear a word.
No.
This is absolutely bloopers show. So glad we've not got.
You're gonna have to start writing it down, Jamie.
Our special guest on this bit.
Could you imagine? Like, what if somebody work on Thursday? But I love you.
Just so you know, on Thursday we've got a really special guest. He is a bloke, and Jamie really.
He is a bloke.
Oh, don't to shout, mate.
It's like that mic's just going in and out.
That's so weird. My actual computer mic isn't working now either. 1 minute.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh.
Yeah, he's had it there all along.
Yeah,
a bit better.
Should have put that in. There you go.
Yeah,
I got right now. I can't remember what I was saying now.
We'll edit this bit out again.
Nah, it's fine.
We won't.
This is literally, I was going to say, this is like...
We're real. We want you to know the real third and short.
This is a behind-the-scenes episode, really, of how much we are 100% winging it every single week.
This is literally laid back with third and short. It's literally like the Sunday night show, just like chilling in the back room.
We should call this episode something else like fourth and short.
Fourth and very long, no mic. What was I saying? Well, I was going to quickly look to see what the odds were for this game, but I can't because all the Thursday night games are coming up, so it's not coming up.
Yeah, they don't tend to throw them out.
I know, it's not here. Where is it? Where are you?
Sky Bet usually chuck them out Saturday night, Sunday morning, which is a bit annoying.
They're on here.
Bet365, you can't do scorecasts until the day.
They haven't put the team on there. I was going
to
say
from Bet365 to Sky Bet.
Well, that's my problem. I have both.
I'm going to say...
I haven't gambled in years till this season of NFL, really.
Just for Bants, the Jets to beat the Chargers.
Oh, God.
So,
what are the odds on that?
That's what I mean. They're not on there. Because he played last night, they're not on there.
I suppose if you put a tenner on it,
if that's between
you'd get nothing back.
If that's between 5 to 1 or 10 to 1, it's worth £2 at least.
The Dolphins play the Chargers.
No? Oh, are they on a bye week then?
Must be a bye week, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 22nd, yeah. That's why I couldn't see him.
It's the only week they're not going to lose.
That's true. Yeah. So don't put them on next week. Don't put them on this week.
Do we think
I suppose.
Do we think the Jets
no,
again?
not at all. Absolutely not. They are goddamn awful.
Well, they play in week 13, I think it is. Yeah, they have a really, really easy game on week 13.
That Giants.
They got the Raiders.
They're playing the Raiders, yeah. I might not be available that week.
Could you imagine?
Mate, not a chance.
I have a soft spot for the Jets as well. I do have a soft spot for the Jets.
They are tanking. They do not want to win a game because I think that they probably look at it as well. Like the Jags. I mean, have the Jags got 2 wins yet, or are they still on 1? That's what I mean. It's like, and the Jags are goddamn awful. Although, having said that Luton quarterback that they played had a good game. I think they only lost by, was it 2 to the Texans? Sure, it was like 28-26.
Who was that, sorry?
Jags.
The Jags against Texans.
Yeah, it was very, very close.
Yeah. And it was a missed 2-pointer at the end, I'm sure.
Yeah, 25-27.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a missed 2-pointer at the end.
It's been.
How would that feel, Tom? Missed 2-pointer at the end.
Yeah, no, yeah. We've had one go our way and one go against us. I don't know about Minshew. I don't know if they benched him or he's injured. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Subtle.
Oh.
I realised
like you were never gone.
My empty beer bottle was too far out of reach.
So are we going on to beers?
Yeah. Smooth. Shoehorn that in there. Like you wouldn't even notice.
Much like a Carlsberg.
For a minute there, I wished your mic wasn't working.
Yeah, it's my last can, so why not?
Well, there's a shock. That's a different beer. What have you got there, Tom?
Come at me, Corona. I'm sick of Tony Romo on them adverts. I am better than him.
Can we just send this out on Twitter? Just you saying, come at me, Corona.
I will do that. I will.
I should be an ambassador. Look at me. Just look at me. I can promote your beer, Corona. I am a specimen of a man.
In these difficult times where Corona's probably finding it hard to promote themselves.
I'm so relatable. We could have a big lime time together. But you're missing out.
Do you put lime in yours?
I don't here. When I'm out on the piss, I do. when I'm over.
When they offer where you don't have to cut it up by yourself.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I don't grab one 5 minutes before a podcast.
When someone does it for me, I have one. I have a word.
There we go.
What you want this time, Matt?
Exotic one, Matt.
I'm on these really big bottles.
Stubby.
Brasserie. It's another Aldi special, and I do like
Matt's at the brasserie.
I'm at the brasserie. Yeah, I do love an Aldi special. They're about £3.20 for 10 little stubbies in there. They're the only things, two of the only things in the world that make my hands look big. I'll let you decide what the other one is.
Molly's other hand?
It's not actually, no.
It's Raiders glass.
It's the Raiders glass. It's not actually a pint glass. It's just less than.
Yeah.
So it makes my hands look big.
So
in joke there, I have really small hands. Come at me, girls.
Come at me, small hands.
Oh, dear.
I do want to.
What are we doing on this episode?
Matt's shouting out companies to come at us. I want to give a big shout out to this big Warren Sapp jersey, Buccaneers 2002, brand new, with tags, beautiful, by the National Vintage League Authentic.
You
so
can't
out to them.
Can't mention them in here. They're our podcast rivals. I mean, you know, we've got 48 subscribers. They've got their own TV show. Whatever. Coming for you, National Vintage League.
But no,
actually, I don't like them because they didn't reply to my tweet. So, yeah.
Oh, he replied to mine, but I just messaged Hugh.
Like, you bought something.
No, I messaged Hugh, but Hugh loves me. I love him.
Message him about them vintage jackets that they put on there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many great jackets on there. Have you seen them? They're beautiful.
Well, I have, yeah, and I asked about one, but so. F you, National Vintage League. Your podcast shit.
Yeah, like it's all brand. It's like how hard it was like to try and find like a vintage Buccaneers jersey online. All of it's just into tatters and stuff like that as well. So managed to go on there.
Got any history.
2002-3 Super Bowl champions. Thank you very much. And that's what that one is from.
Is that just the one you won? Bless you.
How many have you won?
3.
Well done. How many Vegas?
The Raiders have won 3.
Cool.
The Las Vegas.
We've only been those since like '76, so you know.
We can take 2 of yours off though, Tom, because Manning doesn't count.
But no, I managed to.
They're your favourite ones. We beat the Patriots. We beat Brady.
I couldn't know which angle I wanted to go down
there. Right. So, questions?
We had
any?
Yeah, we had the one that was talked about, and then I think we had. Did you had a question from a friend of ours? Did you, Tom?
Yeah. So Josh Davies has asked if we could have any player from any current team, excluding a quarterback, to play for our own team. Who would it be?
Well, I would say Jameis Winston, so we can't say quarterback. So, well, literally, that's my initial response when you posed that question. Though. It's like Jameis Winston by far.
Who would it be non-quarterback then?
Go on, Matt.
Is this current players?
Yeah, on current roster, yeah.
Ooh, I was hoping you'd come to me last because I'm still undecided. I know we got the question.
I'll go with mine. To be fair, I'm sort of undecided. I'm between 4, but I'll make a decision after I spoke about all 4. So we're desperate for a big play wide receiver.
DK.
There's 2 I love in the league. One I'm bipolar about, and I'm loving him today. So you're talking OBJ or DK. Then Taysom Hill is just a player I can't help but admire. I've said it numerous times in the group. He's just someone he's a try whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he's ridiculous. But then I thought about defensive side as well, and I said it last week. I just love Minka. I just think he's nasty. And the guy's an animal, and I love that. That's why I love Abrams of Raiders. I just love stinking horrible players that just want to hurt people and make big plays. But I think for me, he was the reason that I picked the Giants and got into the game. So I think it'd have to be OBJ. As much as I love DK, I think it'd have to be OBJ.
Fair. Go on, JB, you going for?
So, again, this when you gave me this question, I think our offense and defense is incredible. I don't think it needs much room for improvement. The only place that I would probably...
when you score 3 and let in 38.
In a typical game, anyway. But there's not really much room for, like, elite players. Like, if you look at... Imagine if, obviously, this is real and you have the roster cap. We can't get anybody else. Like I said, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Godwin at wide receiver. Definitely don't need anyone there. And then your tight ends, Gronk and OJ Howard. Maybe a tight end would be one of them. So if I was going for a tight end, let me think about a tight end. And then the running backs, we've got Rojo. I absolutely adore Rojo.
There's a couple of big names tight ends, isn't there? There's Kittle, the 49ers. There's Darren Waller, the Raiders. I think they're probably the two biggest.
What about Evan Engram? He's mint. Catches all sorts.
But what was I saying? Yeah, so running backs. I love Rojo and I love Fournette, but you'd rather have one of those players that would get those yards. Like it has to be someone like Dalvin Cook, or it has to be like Derrick Henry. Imagine having him.
Barkley.
Yeah, Henry's one of my.
Does Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook? They are rushing game changers. Like you give them the ball, they can rush you and win that game. Haven't they both got like 90-yard touchdowns this season? I can't remember the last time while rushing got like over 30. So I'd probably have to go for. I'd obviously get rid of Fournette. Obviously he's getting a bit older now, so let him retire and get Dalvin Cook or get Derrick Henry and then have Rojo as a backup. That'd be beautiful. I think that would be an unstoppable team. So
yeah. Derrick Henry's definitely on my list. Not that we need a running back. I think we're good there, but he's a game changer, isn't he, Derrick Henry?
Josh Jacobs still rated though.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Jacobs, but I think Derrick Henry just changes. He's another option, isn't he? He improves any team in the NFL for me. I also looked at wide receivers, and you've got the obvious names. You've got Julio Jones, you've got OBJ, DK Metcalf, all the big sort of names. But I'm a fan of Stephon Diggs and the Bills. I just like him. I think he's really good. Seems like a good guy, so I considered him. Again, I don't think we really need a wide receiver if we're looking at positions we need to fill. So I went on the other side of the ball. I definitely don't need a tight end. I've got Darren Waller, best in the NFL. I've got Jason Witten as well from the Cowboys, I quite like. I looked at the defensive side of the ball, and instantly I gravitated towards having Khalil Mack back. He's a sort of wrecking ball, superb player. I think he made it into the All-Pro team in 2 positions a few years ago. First player to do that, and went as a linebacker on a defensive end. But we've had Mack, so in my head I landed at the other big name defensive player, certainly for pass rush, and it's Aaron Donald. And I just think for what just for when he threw Zeke like a doll.
I enjoyed that.
He's a steamroller, and he's enough of a threat for teams to double up on him. So then that releases your other players. So that it would be Aaron Donald for me.
I like it. There was a play at the weekend. We teamed Chase Young. That's how scared we were at one point. We had three players on him. But yeah, I like Donald. He only got half sack against us, but like you say, you double team up on him. So he did well to get that.
He's a sort of game changer to the rest of the team as well. I've got Aaron Donald. Don't particularly like him.
To that question,
if we were... Go on, sorry, Jamie. Yeah.
I was going to say further to that question would be if you can only take one from each of our teams, because none of us said a Giants player or a Raiders player or a Bucks player. So if you had to take one from each team, who would you take?
In a heartbeat, Abrams.
And who from the Bucks?
No one. Probably JPP.
Bring him back. Bring him home.
Yeah, we're desperate for an edge rusher.
Who will I take from the Giants? Saquon. Pretty easy one for
DJ.
me. No, it
DJ.
would not be. It would not be DJ. Who will I take from the Bucks? I'm gonna just quickly check because I'm between two players, and whichever one has done better in this particular game I'm looking at. For me it would be Jamel Dean.
He's unreal, Jamal Dean.
Yeah.
I think he's a great safety.
He's a rookie. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
So I'll take.
But no, I think he's had a great season. For me, like I said, go for tight ends. So maybe Waller, and then Saquon. Why not need that running back? So I'd go for him just to, for a third place running back, just to have him there rather than. So give him a little bit of competition for Fournette. But yeah. Mojo's number one in my heart.
The Giants next year potentially might get a high pick, but then they've got Saquon to come back, which he's going to be not a new player, but a great player to have back.
It's been horrible to sort of watch this season because the first 3 games when he played, obviously our O-line were all over the place. As much as our defence still kept us in games, Saquon just didn't have a chance. I think one game even went negative yardage. But now we've got Wayne Goldman and I think it's Alfred Morris that are now sort of alternating for us, and they both went over 60 on Sunday. And there's gaps galore. The O-line are doing really well in that run game. And I think I said to you, Matt, like I'm watching the game, like Wayne Goldman's like on three attempts, he's an ankle tap away from getting home. Saquon will gobble it up 100% of the time because the guy is an animal. He's just unbelievable, and it's horrible to see because you probably sit there and think, well, how close we've been in games, we'd probably have a winning record if we had him.
What quarterback are you taking them from the league? If you didn't have a quarterback, your quarterback quit tomorrow, and you can pick any quarterback in the league, who are you taking?
I mean, I can't take Brady because he's pretty much done for. He's on his way out, isn't he? Maybe got a year left in him. I think he'll probably try and go somewhere else after that because that just seems Brady seems like he loves the sport. But I wouldn't take him.
Got 2 years.
Yeah, I absolutely love Derek Carr. I'd probably look at him. I love Gardner. I love Minshew. I wouldn't take him just based on a character.
Yeah, we should. He's funny, so.
Yeah. Too early to say Tua, and I don't want to say Tua because I don't want him to do well because he's left-handed. I hate Kyler Murray. I'm stuck because there's a couple of names I don't want to say. I'd probably go Josh Allen.
Yeah, shout. Yeah.
He's got years ahead of him. Franchise quarterback.
I think we actually did talk about it earlier, didn't we? I would be looking at our division and knowing we've got to play Patrick Mahomes. I'd be looking at.
You'll take him in bench so you don't have to play him.
No, it's funny. I actually said I'd like to challenge him. So the first quarterback that comes to mind is Kyler because he scrambles and so does Mahomes. They're very, very similar in the way they play the game. Mahomes is much more talented at the minute, I'd say, than Kyler. So I'd look at him, but I don't like him because he's a knob. So I did look at Josh Allen as well. I think that Young is clearly got talent. He's only going to get better, I think, as well. He loves to scramble. He can absolutely sling it, which he probably doesn't really get the credit he deserves for. Without any effort, he can just launch it downfield. And they've got Stefan Diggs who can just pull a catch out of his arse.
Yeah.
So it would be between Kyler and Josh Allen.
That's the thing, because we've gone Old Faithful now with Tom Brady. I don't want to go for Aaron Rodgers again to be another oldie. So I want to look for the future. And if you picked any quarterback for the next 5 years, it's Joe Burrow. Has to be.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow would be. He could be a franchise
He'd do well
MVP,
at the Bucs, you know.
Super Bowl, exactly.
With the wide receivers, he'd do well.
So that's what I mean. So thinking about it for the next 5 years, if we could have him, Joe Burrow. We could as soon as Brady leaves, we could go awful and get the first round pick in 4 years. Who knows? So you never know. That's what I love about this sport. You never know what's going to happen.
Get another Winston.
You could have the next Jameis.
I mean, it's an all right question, that, to be fair. I think
Yeah.
Josh Davis, he's done better. But it was all right.
We did have another question.
Keep 'em coming, Josh.
Another question on Twitter. Bear with me, and I'll just get that question up. It was from somebody who recently followed us.
New followers, that's always nice to know.
It's just
That's what we want.
It's a new follow. If you're on Twitter at Third Short Pod, it would be lovely if you give us a little follow. And this question is, as I said, it's from a new follower. The follower is called at Josh Davies 3, and he's called, "Hello, I'm Josh Davids. Could you tell me what the NFL is? I like red." I don't know who's done that, but it's pretty funny. I can hazard a guess as to who's done it, but it's really funny. So if you are listening, Josh Davies, NFL is the National Football League. That is all you need to know, and it's a shame you like red.
I like
Good question.
red.
It's a good question.
I like red.
We always like a new follower.
Yeah.
God. Have we got any more?
I think that's it.
Oh.
I think that's it.
I think I've messed up my bandana. Well, this was a fun little way to end the evening.
I think
How are we transitioning from this to that?
Well, I think there's just one thing we wanted to touch on. It was trick plays. Going from perhaps a trick question in the Twitter world to trick plays in the NFL. We saw a great one at the weekend from the Panthers. And what a trick plays, as we mentioned earlier on in the season, when you tend to go 3 attempts at getting the 10 yards and you usually punt it on the fourth attempt. And fairly, not often, but every now and then a team will line up to look like they're going to punt the ball away, and they'll just throw a little cheeky either a run from the punter or a skewed snap that goes to somebody to run it, or the punter will potentially pass it as well. That's an option that's happened a few times. So I love a trick play. Panthers did it against the Chiefs successfully this weekend, so it's worth checking out on the highlights. But yeah, I love watching a trick play. I love them when they don't come off as well, because they just look stupid.
Yeah.
So I love the sort of nous to attempt a trick play.
Joe Judge is a special teams coach in his history. I can't remember who we played. It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had one, and it was a punt, fake punt, and Cam Fleming set off too early, and the touchdown was pulled back. We got a touchdown from it, and obviously it was cancelled because Cam Fleming false start, which is an absolute killer. But then I've noticed this thing with Joe Judge. He's tried it 3 times since. So what sort of happened was we were 4th and whatever it was at the time, and he kept the offense out on the field. And then about 5 seconds into the play clock starting, and where the defense had set, he then calls them off and puts the punt team on, and it gives obviously the opposition coach a decision to make of shit. What am I doing here? Am I bringing my special team out, or are they going for it or not? And 9 times out of 10, they put the special teams defense on, and you're looking for that error. You're looking for when you seem to settle with a punt, you have 2 wide receivers positions that would run at the sort of punt receiver. You're looking for someone not to be covering them, and that's what's happened twice on ours. One, we got called back. One, Corey Ballantyne didn't look back. So there was no. Joe Judge was trying to give the signal of go for the fake, and Corey Ballantyne just didn't look and just carried on running. So we had to punt it, and then we did one on Sunday. But every credit to Del Rio, he made sure that the position was covered, so there was no chance of a of a false punt. But yeah, it's something that I know a lot of Giants Twitter were saying it's something we should be looking out for this season with his special teams background. And we've had 3 chances to sort of do it, 2 chances to definitely do it, and 1 chance where we're trying it. So hopefully there'll be a couple more that I'll be hopefully successful and I can scream about on a pod. But they do make the game exciting.
I love them. the massive, I'm going to say the massive one that sticks in my mind was the Philly special, the Eagles against Patriots in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah,
I'm not going to ruin it. Google Philly special, and it won't be
a greatest play in NFL history, not let alone Super Bowl.
Yeah, to do it in the Super Bowl as well against the Patriots is just.
They did it against us this season.
It's class. It's class. Love it.
But like I said, going from the Panthers and the best play of the week, I just want to quickly mention the worst play of the week. Again, the Jets tanking the season. They were 4th and whatever. They were going for the field goal, the Patriots. And they decided to have 12 men on the field. First down. Talk about tanking a season.
It's almost like it was meant to happen.
So, worst play of the weekend, that it was ridiculous. And they still kept them to a field goal.
Based on too many men or too many men or not enough men. Shout out to Bones. I'm sure he was really happy when the Lions on 3rd down decided to put 10 players on the defense and let Dalvin Cook run for 70 yards for a touchdown. You know, I feel you, mate. We've done it twice this season on 3rd down against 49ers. And it was a terrible game. But yeah, I mean, the good thing is we seem to have resurrected it. I hope you guys do or don't. Not too sure. Love you really, Bones.
Just make sure there's 11 people on each end. That's all you have to do.
It's so simple, isn't it?
It's one job.
It's ridiculous. It should be fired instantly. The defensive coordinator does that. Go. Get out. Or if a player's not taking his position, and he just, well, guess what? You're going with the practice squad. See you in a bit. Is that us done for questions? Is this time for an outro or where are we at? Anything else?
Is it time for an outro? Yeah, sure. So
yeah, over to you, Jamie.
So we're hopefully gonna have our second guest joining us now. It's quite. I'm more excited for this one than you guys. To a degree.
I don't know.
Close.
Again, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while, especially because I've done my degree in script writing for stage screen and gaming, and I think the career that this person has had is quite good. And this person has worked for the LA Rams. They've worked for Washington in the NBA, and they've also worked for Disney as well. And now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what a career so far. Looking forward to talking to her about her experiences, and it should be a very good interview. I'm very looking forward to it. You guys don't have to wait as long as we do. We've got to wait 2 days to record it, but you can listen to it right now. Here she is. It's Casey Phillips.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Jamie's managed to sort this one out. It's a bit of it's our biggest guest we've had so far. We're really excited for this recording, this episode, and we hope you guys enjoy it as well. And we're just going to ask some questions, if that's okay, just about NFL and your life in the NFL. I think Jamie can kick off for us.
I'm just quite, like I said, I'm very happy about this one as well, because obviously you did like business management, didn't you, at university, and your whole reporter job, it's kind of like the dream job, isn't it? Like, I did a script writing degree, so I love writing and, like I said, that kind of thing. So I think it's a dream job to have. How did you get into it?
Yeah, it definitely is a dream job. I knew when I was like 12 that I wanted to do broadcasting of some sort. But I think originally my thought was news. And then when I was in high school, we actually had a television station in my high school reporting on, very serious breaking news like the lunch menu. And my teacher said she knew that it's what I actually wanted to do for a living. So she was going to let me interview for a couple internships. She was like, you won't get them because you're just a 17-year-old high school kid. You're competing against college seniors and graduates, but She said it'll at least let you, just experience an interview. And it was for a regional sports network in Texas. And then it was also for the NBA team in Dallas, the Mavericks. And all of a sudden I was like, why had I not thought about sports? I love sports. Why had this not occurred to me? And I went to the internships and I actually ended up getting both of them, which is the moment that I knew it was what God wanted me to do, because that made no sense. Otherwise, I was like, I am a 17-year-old kid with no resume. This is crazy. So then I interned both of those places. I ended up that regional network. I got to do it for 3 summers. I also interned for the Dallas Cowboys for a couple summers, a CBS station in Dallas for a couple summers. So basically from 17 to 21, I just got to do so many different things there. Went to school for radio, television, journalism in college. Basically that was kind of what kickstarted everything. And then once I graduated from school, I worked at Disney World in Orlando for their sports public relations department. And then for the Wizards, the NBA team in Washington, DC, and then the Rams when they were in St. Louis. And then now came here to the Buccaneers.
So you've not thought about getting some ice hockey in there as well? Cover all American sport.
Yeah. Between internships and jobs I've had, I have covered every sport here except for soccer, football. I don't know how this works. I don't know how this works being on a UK podcast of what we call it, but that's ironically the biggest sport for you guys is the only one I haven't covered. I've done hockey and basketball and baseball and football and everything, but yeah, not that, which is good because I hardly know the rules.
Which is your favorite sport then?
I think so basketball was what I played growing up. So that was always my favorite sport. But I think that football in a lot of ways was my favorite to sort of watch and participate in because, here in America and being from Texas originally, it's the way that it is with you guys with soccer. I think that it's just larger than life in terms of the identity, the way that people will trash talk and identify with their team and all of that, And you hear, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Friday Night Lights, the movie and book and stuff that are about high school football. But high school football in Texas, really, I cannot express how insane it is. So it's kind of, basketball was my favorite sport, but football was sort of my favorite experience, if that makes sense.
That's one of the best things I love about America as well, like how big you take high school football. If high school soccer for us, we call it footy because we're big American football fans and football fans. To differentiate, we'll get shouted at if we call it soccer, being in England. So they'll shout at us, so we call it footy. But if you did a high school footy match, you probably only get about 20 people of the parents. That's it. That's literally it. They don't do anything. Besides, obviously, your main Premier League Championship, you get a couple thousand sellout stadiums, but high school it's ridiculous. Like I said, with Friday Night Lights, the amount of people that go there, the proper school spirit and everything. And obviously Texas and the Cowboys, like I said, they are America's team, aren't they? So
yeah, we're working on that. We're working on the Buccaneers taking over that.
One thing I wanted to ask, I've got 2 nieces and a daughter, and all 3 of them are into sport of some kind. If you were to give advice to any of them to go into sort of broadcasting or reporting, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think that honestly, my advice is the same, even if it's for boys or girls, that it's just all about your experience and your knowledge. And thankfully, we are at a point now where there are so many more women that are in those roles that it is becoming less and less of a unique thing, that it is less surprising when you see women in any role, whether it is broadcasting or coaching or scouting or anything, that there's just starting to be more and more women involved in a lot of different areas. But yeah, really to do broadcasting, it is all about your knowledge of whatever it is that you're covering, and then your ability to be comfortable on camera. And so it's all about the amount of experience you get, that at the beginning, you're not going to be very good. You're going to be nervous. And it's just the more you can do it. So the more experience you can get before it really counts, but when it is just in high school or in college, things like that, or I guess you guys call it university, right? University, whatever that is, whatever experience you guys can get in that way, that's really all that matters. Because I got a master's degree, and after I'd worked for an NBA team for a whole year, I found out they didn't even know that or remember that. And all they cared about was the reel that I sent. That's how I get hired, is I send a link to my work and they watch my videos, and that's what you get hired on. So the better you can be, on camera, and the more experience, the more comfortable you can get, that's really what matters.
Like I said, you got to have like these show reels, don't you, to obviously send to different teams, and you just build that up. Do you have, like, I assume, do you have agents, or is that all by yourself? So when you applied for like St. Louis and Tampa, that was by yourself. Like you don't have agents like footballers do you? Like they'll just go, oh, there's a job here, go for that.
Right. Yeah. So there are a lot of people in my position that do have agents. I have not had one. That I started to have one several years ago. And then right when I was getting them, two different agencies merged, and it got kind of complicated of who that agent was going to work for, or if they were still going to have a job and all of that. And it was so early in the process that I just was like, you know what, never mind. I'm good for right now. So yeah, I've actually, every job I've gotten, I have just pretty much applied online, which is crazy because this business is so much about who you know. That I just sent an application online to Disney and online to the Wizards and online to the Rams. And each of them, I didn't know anybody there. There were no connections. It was just me out of a pile of resumes. I think I heard with the Wizards, I was one of 300 people that had applied for it, which is crazy. But then my job with the Bucs, actually my boss with the Rams had come down to work for the Bucs. And so he brought me down with him. So that one was the who you know aspect, but the others were all just applying online.
You've been 5 years as well at the Bucs, haven't you?
Yeah, this is my 6th season. So yeah, I've been here for about 5.5 years. This is the sixth season. So yeah, it's definitely been crazy how fast time has flown that I'm already here.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask some NFL related questions. Who's your favorite player in the past or present?
Ooh, boy. It's so funny because once like I started working in sports, that answer stopped becoming about how people played and more about who they were as people, that it's so hard for me to separate those things. So it's funny how that works, but I want to say that maybe one of my favorites that I have covered is Ryan Fitzpatrick, now the quarterback for the Dolphins.
Yeah. You love him.
He's just the best. Like, he's so funny in this very dry, I feel like he has very British humor, actually. Like, I feel like he would fit really well in some of the way that your TV shows kind of humor is. He's very dry and very funny and very self-deprecating and has this huge, incredible family. I mean, he drove a minivan that he had gotten wrapped in this iridescent, purpley green, insane color just to like pimp out this minivan that had his like 8,000 children in it. And I feel, and he was, he's so smart and he's such a good teammate. He was sort of the whole package of what you want in a guy that's a good teammate. He was fun to watch play, all that stuff. So yeah, he was definitely one of my favorites. And then, of course, Allie and Donovan are my 2 offensive linemen with the Buccaneers that we all came in at the same time. They were drafted 2 weeks after I joined the team. We've had a radio show together and a TV show together. And typically offensive linemen are just always my favorite people, going back, even like I think about high school, and all my friends were offensive linemen, even in high school, that they're just a group that doesn't take themselves too seriously. They're humble, they're smart, they're funny. They're just a bunch of big goofballs. So yeah, I think that they tend to be some of my favorites.
Just with Fitzpatrick as well, I think, was it last season he did that post-match interview wearing Winston's clothes? He was
wearing Deshaun Jackson's.
Yeah,
Deshaun Jackson's clothes. And yeah, that was one of my favorite moments ever. That was just so funny. And that's who he is. Like, he's always looking to have fun and enjoy things and laugh at himself. And that was the moment that I think he kind of solidified, where I was like, all right, this is one of my favorite people I've covered.
Yeah, we were recently talking about him on one of the previous episodes, because we don't like Tua now, because obviously he's taken over Fitzpatrick. So we're big Fitzpatrick fans. Obviously I am, because of the Bucs as well. But hopefully that Tua's doing well. But Fitzpatrick wasn't doing bad, was he? But he's been replaced now. So
no, I think that's what happens when you draft a guy that high, is that it's only a matter of time before they're going to want to throw him in. And it's less about what Fitz was or wasn't doing, and just about the fact that, hey, if Tua is ready, you got to throw him in there.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, in terms of current players and past players, I don't know if you can probably answer this fairly, but is there anyone you've not enjoyed interviewing or speaking to?
Trying to get me in trouble here.
I wasn't sure if you could answer it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely never going to throw anybody under the bus in that sense. I mean, look, of course there are guys that are easier or harder to interview depending on how outgoing or talkative they are. And so there are some guys that it is a little bit more like pulling teeth than others. But I have been very fortunate that there has never been anyone that I have had to interview that I have not wanted to, or that I've really been like, man, I don't want to have to talk to this guy, or, you know, like we've had really great people in all the locker rooms and all the sports and all the teams I've covered that thankfully I have not really had to have that moment of, oh my gosh, please don't make me talk to this guy. That everyone has always been very respectful, very nice. It's just about whether or not it's a harder or easier interview.
It certainly comes across from a lot of the players that they seem to be enjoyed being spoken to and interviewed after games and things by most people interviewing them, not all. You can sort of see it's obvious when certain players are either in a bad mood or they're not happy with the question that they don't really put as much effort into answering it, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's nice about my job working for the team is that I get to know these guys really well. And so I know who will want to talk about what topics or not, who to go to after a bad loss or not. Like you really learn the personalities. And my whole job is to put them in positions to succeed. You know, I'm not going to be trying to get them to say or do anything bad, negative, all of that. So yeah, I very much am strategic with who I talk to, when, and about what.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
The Buccaneers, obviously. What are you doing? Definitely not the Raiders, you know.
I think if it was the Raiders Bucks, I'd be a little bit nervous because in 2003, Gruden won the Super Bowl with the Bucks, didn't he? So I'd be apprehensive about that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting little rematch, especially considering he's with the other team now. That would be quite a storyline.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, James.
I was going to say, yeah, speaking from other teams, I mean, who would you, if you could take any player from any other team to put into this Bucks team at the moment, who would you pick? This is a question that we had recently on the podcast, and I was thinking, with our offensive weapons, I don't know who you'd actually put in there. I think the only place, I love Leonard Fournette and I love Rojo, but Dalvin Cook's on another level. So imagine Dalvin Cook with those weapons maybe, or Derrick Henry maybe, but there's nowhere really that I could think there's a weak link to get somebody else in. I don't know if...
Yeah, I think on offense, I think we already feel like we have a bit of a fantasy team on offense that we've already kind of done that of, you know, taking guys from all these other teams and building this epic offense. So yeah, I don't know that I see anything really there. I mean, this is less, my choice is less about who we already have and more about this player, but Aaron Donald, I mean, he's a freak. Like the stuff that he does completely alters games, and everyone around the whole league says there's no one like him. So whenever anybody says there's no one like somebody, I mean, I feel like he's a guy that any coach would love to have. He's just such a game wrecker. It's unbelievable. And especially when, you know, Vita went down hurt for us, that I feel like that could be a great addition. But I mean, it really is taking me thinking of a guy that is considered one of the best players at any position in the NFL to say that we do already have so much talent on both sides of the ball that it's not, there's nothing that makes me think, oh yeah, we need this at this position, or we need to add this guy. It's just, if you tell me I have to pick someone to add, Aaron Donald, and I would say him for any team. Like, I think no matter what team you were asking me this question for, Aaron Donald would potentially be my answer.
I gave Aaron Donald as my answer for the Raiders. I think he's a game changer. It doesn't really matter who you've got.
You know, and it was funny. I actually worked for the Rams when we drafted him, and people were not happy that they drafted him. And I now think that's so funny to look back at that, at how much the Rams fans were so like, why are we taking this short defensive tackle? It's not what we need. We need all these other, like, they were so not about it. And so now it's funny to look back and be like, I wonder if they remember how much they were upset about that.
yeah, definitely. I think he's certainly proved his worth anyway. That's all questions I've got, actually.
I was going to ask, obviously, it's amazing time to be a Buccaneers fan at the moment. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a troubled past recently with winless seasons, but we've got the greatest of all time in now. Like, how's it feel having Tom Brady, TB12 on the team? I think, like, just the thought of it makes me excited, but, you know, you get to be around there and see him. It's just...
Yeah, so I think my answer would potentially be a little different if it wasn't 2020 and COVID was not a thing. Because sadly, I have not gotten to be around like I normally would. You know, this year is the first time ever in my career I'm not traveling with whatever team I'm working for. I am not allowed to be near him, based on the tier systems of how they're doing it, of where, you know, players and coaches and essential personnel are here. And like, I get tested once a week. The people that can be around the players have to get tested once a day. So I can't be within 10 feet of any of the players, and there aren't any in-person interviews allowed, period. Even from a distance away, like it's just not allowed. So the times that I have interviewed him, we have been in different rooms in the building. So I don't get to say the same type of things that I would normally get to say of, oh, this is what it's been like in the building or being around him or in the locker room, all those things. So it's been really sad. I mean, I watched us sign him on ESPN, you know, like I was at home because that was right after COVID hit and we first got sent home. We didn't know what was going to happen or how this was going to go. And we were busy trying to figure out how to start doing videos from home to cover him getting signed. So it was the worst possible timing from our, you know, vantage point of getting to take advantage of this incredible signing. So yeah, that's been the joke all year is we're like, of course, all of these incredible things are happening to us while we can't do anything about it. This is great. So I'm very much looking forward to getting to cover him and Gronk and all these incredible weapons and things that are happening in a more normal way. But of course, it's still been so fun and a much needed bit of excitement in a year that has been very challenging.
Yeah, definitely. I said I think it's very exciting. I still think we'll get to the playoffs. I hope we go all the way and win it all, especially in Tampa. I mean, it's the dream, is that no team's ever done it before. It feels like the stars are aligning for it all to happen. I know Matt's going to disagree with me, and Tom probably would, but like I said, it's a great time to be a Bucs fan, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Do you think? I don't know if you know at all. He's got the 2-year contract, so I assume he's going to be there for the full 2 years, and then where do you see it going after that? Are we going to get a young quarterback, or are we drafting for one? I don't know. Like, what? I don't want to think post Brady. I don't know. So yeah. I'm enjoying it in the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all kind of doing, is just soaking it in while it happens. You know, I don't know. I mean, look, Brady could play until he's 60 for all we know. I mean, this dude is just a freak of nature. Whatever he's doing for anti-aging, I feel like we all need to get on this bandwagon. So who knows? Maybe he plays past that. Maybe he doesn't. I know they signed Josh Rosen to the practice squad this year. You know, that seems like a guy you could potentially try to develop. We have, a couple other guys on the roster as well that I don't really know how much they think of them as just backups or as potential starters someday. But yeah, I think it's all going to depend on how long Brady's able to play at the level he's playing, and he and Breeze just continue to defy, gravity, aging, logic, all of it. So I think it really depends on if he starts to have some sort of decline. But right now, I mean, the guys are all adamant that his arm strength is not declining. Scotty Miller, they're throwing these deep balls to him, and Scotty's like,
that breadbasket against the Raiders was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was again, be like him.
I just had to bring that up. I had to bring that up. I just think that right now, thankfully, it is not a pressing issue, at least at this point.
Yeah.
You think Winston will return?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I think that probably that ship has sailed. I mean, you never know. Never say never in this league. But I think that, the fact that he left already once, you don't tend to see too many people come back to a team a second time.
No. It didn't help with the whole post-match. W did it, but I like Winston. I've always been a big fan of him. It was never a boring game watching the Bucs when Winston was playing.
That is true.
You never know what was going to happen. So
that is very true. It was never boring.
So I think you came in when I think it was Lovie Smith, wasn't it? And then Jameis Winston was drafted that year as well. So you've seen that whole transition through Winston's career to Tom Brady. What was it like your journey from then to now? Is it still the same around the football club, or is it like, how is it?
Yeah, I don't think it really has changed too much. I mean, I've been through 3 different head coaches, and now him as well. I mean, there've been a lot of changes around the building in a lot of different ways. Whether it was coaching staff or players, and I mean, there's massive turnover in a locker room every year. That I think I read it, on average 40% of your roster turns over in any given season. So it's kind of an apples and oranges thing when you're comparing, a different quarterback to a different quarterback. It's always different rosters, different coaches. So I think a lot has changed over the last 5.5 years in a lot of different ways. Especially look at our defense now and how dramatically improved it is over the last couple seasons. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. But yeah, I mean, I think that when you bring in Tom Brady and he's considered the greatest of all time, that definitely elevates other guys' desire for their play to match his and for their work ethic to match his. That it would be the same with LeBron James joining a team. Anytime you have somebody that is one of the greatest of all time, people are going to take their cues from them, and that can really help an organization.
So obviously you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. For American football, who is your basketball team? That'd be the Mavericks or?
Yeah, it would be the Mavericks. Growing up as a kid, I went to several of their games, when I was a kid, and even got on the Jumbotron in face paint and full Mavs gear with my sign, and which was funny because when I was interning there, years later, they were having me look through all this old footage to find something that they were looking for, and I found myself on the Jumbotron, and I was pointing at my boss. I was like, that's me as like a 12-year-old at this game. So yeah, they were definitely my team growing up, and then now with Luka, he is so fun to watch play. That his infectious joy while he's playing makes it really fun. And Porzingis, and I think they have a really good young core that's going to be fun to watch for a bit.
I think Porzingis is a great player. I'm a New York Giants fan because, again, I love New York. And I actually went to go see him at Madison Square Garden the season that he was at the Giants. He's an unbelievable player, Porzingis.
Yeah, and Madison Square Garden, that's one of the most iconic places you can go watch an NBA game. Yeah. So, yeah, that was if you're going to go to an NBA game, that's a good choice.
Yeah. So if obviously there's always been that rumors about London, like you said, you've always wanted to go to London. Would you ever see an NFL team in London? And if so, who would you believe it would be?
Yeah,
would anybody relocate?
That's tough because, we came, last year for our game in London, and
yeah,
that trip.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Flags, yeah.
That trip about killed me trying to, we flew in overnight. We left Thursday night, got in Friday morning, went to practice Friday. I had an event to cover Friday night. We had Saturday off, then we played the game Sunday, and then we flew back home Sunday night after the game overnight. And that Monday, Tuesday that week, I was like, oh my gosh, I am dying. So I think it would be challenging. The thing I don't know is how it would work for the team in London. Like having teams do that once in a season is fine. They've been doing that, that it was fine for us. I mean, I think coaches and players still don't like it because it is challenging and exhausting and, changes your routines and all of that stuff. They prefer not to, but doing it, once in a season is fine. But I don't know how you handle it with the team in London. Do they have 8 straight home games and then you just send them over to the US and then they play 8 straight road games? I mean, and how is that fair or unfair to them to have all those road games in a row? Or are you having them fly back and forth all the time? Like, I just don't know the logistics of how that would work. I'm sure that the league would love to have it because they love that getting to expand to an entire new fan base. And, you guys have proven to be really big, NFL fans. You always show up for the games and there's a lot of fan clubs and all of that. I just don't know how it works logistically. And of course, if you're going to pick a team, it seems like the Jaguars, make a lot of sense. They're already over there a lot, and their owner, seems to be very, into that idea. Yeah. They've already got a fan base.
He already owns a championship club over there, doesn't he?
Exactly. So it just, from that standpoint, it seems like they would be the obvious choice based solely on, that, but who knows? And it all depends again on how you would logistically pull that off. So I would love it if that would happen, because I would love to have more excuses to come to London. But it did take a toll on all of us.
And obviously when we beat the Raiders, sorry, Matt, again, obviously he can't experience it, but what is the Black Dome like? Is it incredible, the stadium?
Okay, so here's what's crazy. I didn't get to go.
You didn't get to go.
Yeah, because I'm not traveling this year, and the Raiders are one of the only teams that I had not gone to their stadium. So I never got to go in Oakland, which I was devastated about. And then I was like, well, at least I'm going to get to go in Vegas. And then I didn't get to go. And now that means unless they match us up as the teams that have the similar record for the schedule, it would be another 8 years before we would go out to Vegas to play. So that was something I was really sad about that COVID affected. I do remember when I worked for the Rams, the Raiders came to St. Louis, and it was crazy. That was my first time getting to watch Raiders fans and like their tailgating and them in the stadium and all the outfits and the makeup and everything. I was blown away. And that was what had made me so excited to go to one of their games. So that was the game I was most excited about this season. And so when I found out I didn't get to travel, I was like, no. So because I'm basically down to just, I think the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Patriots, I think are the only teams I haven't gone to their stadium. So that's kind of what and I would have gotten the Broncos and the Raiders this year. So it's just because I've only worked in the NFC, all those AFC teams, we just don't go there as often.
Yeah. What would you say was the best stadium that you've been to then, besides obviously Raymond James? Because that is amazing.
Besides, now I will say that, like, I mean, that pirate ship and everything, like our stadium is so cool. I mean, to have a pirate ship that fires off cannons is incredible. But for other stadiums, I mean, of course, the Cowboys one is amazing with the giant screen, and it was such a unique thing, especially when it was first built. But I actually think one of my favorite other stadium experiences I've had were the Vikings. Their stadium is so cool. It's, still really new, and it has a lot of glass to it. So it feels kind of like you're outside still, even though you're inside. And all of their game day traditions are so cool, where they had the big ship come out with the dragon head on the front with smoke coming out. They have everybody doing the skull chant. They blow the big horn, like all of their in-stadium stuff was really cool, that I remember thinking I would enjoy being a Vikings fan. This is really awesome.
Yeah. That's what I want to say. Thank you for coming on and doing this. I know obviously we will keep you too long, or that's the only problem. I could talk for hours, especially like you said, you've got so much experience, and we could talk books all day. I know Matt won't like that, but
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. This has been really fun. I can say this is, I believe, my first UK-based media thing I've done. So there you go.
I think we usually give people a chance to plug their own Twitter and things. If you want to do that, feel free, because you might get some new British fans, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm a big fan. Yeah, so my Twitter and Instagram are both at Casey Reporting, and Casey is Casey. So at Casey Reporting, those are my two places. And yeah, I love the Bucks UK fan club, and I love all of you. Whenever I get a follow from somebody over in the UK, I get really excited.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good to meet you.